Hello, fellow yappers. I'm Richie.
And I'm Shalini, and we're your hosts of Binge Yap Repeat.
We're two best friends who spend an embarrassing amount of time binge watching TV, and honestly, we just need to talk about it. If you're here, we're guessing you do too.
Fair warning, this is a spoiler-friendly zone. We will be discussing lots of spoilers. So, if you haven't watched the show yet, hit pause, go binge, and come back when you're ready to yap with us.
And now, it's yap time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Binge Yap Repeat. I am joined here by one of my best friends, Poonim. Everyone say hi to Poonim. What the fuck is a Poonim?
This.
Poonim is here to discuss The Bear with me today. Yay! A show which we both love and Ruchi does not watch.
Tragic.
So it was only appropriate to bring on Poonim for this epic discussion. I love The Bear so much. You actually put me onto this show. I watched, I think when season 3 came out, you told me, or I was at your place when season 3 came out, and then you watched the pilot with me so that I could get into the show.
Okay.
Yes.
Yay. Oh,
Yay.
I forgot about that.
But anyway, so today we'll be discussing The Bear. And this season has a few overarching plot lines. So usually we talk through the show's synopsis, but since we're already on season 4, we're way past the series synopsis. So the overarching plot lines of this season. 1, the bear, the restaurant, not the teddy bear, is up against the clock after a less than ideal review in the Chicago Tribune. And so everyone on board is kind of trying to tighten up the ship to see if they can survive. 2, Sydney is facing a decision about whether to stay at the Bear or join Shapiro at his new restaurant. 3rd, Richie's ex-wife is getting married. What's her name? Britt? Tiff.
Tiffany.
Her name is Bree in Community.
Yes.
That's right. Okay. Tiff is getting married, and Richie's kind of dealing with his feelings around that. Carmy is starting to think about what he wants and who he is outside of the restaurant. Anything else?
I mean, there were smaller plot lines kind of in parallel, but I think that's a good summary of the season.
All right. Great. Well, I guess we can start with overall thoughts. What did you think about this season overall?
I will say that I really like the season because I just feel like the quality of the show and like the characters in the show make it feel like I'm coming back to like a family that I love so much. I feel like there were in prior seasons maybe more like character specific like growth arcs, but I think it came together nicely in this season where it's like kind of everyone's dealing with something and you just see them all like pushing forward in parallel. The vibe of it I feel like was exactly what you expect out of the Bear, like the ultra close-ups of people and food and like almost ASMR level of sound coming from a kitchen and the cacophony of all the Berzados and the facts and everyone else in this Chicago community just yelling at each other, which I loved.
I always love that too.
So yeah, I think I came away from the season pretty positively. That being said, I did finish the season like 2 hours ago.
Oh yeah, same.
So I haven't had a lot of time to really like sit with my thoughts on the season. I feel like if the show decides to not continue, it could be like a good close to the series. But selfishly, I hope it continues because I want to see, where the Bear goes from here. The show, obviously, and the restaurant.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about
you? I agree with you. I think it was so fun to be back in the world of the Bear. I just love the world of fine dining in general and like learning little tidbits about, they need to put out a pasta dish in less than 3 minutes if they want to stay on the clock. Like, some sommeliers need to know exactly the vintage and the type of what, like there's just so much that goes into it. So I loved that aspect. I also loved being back in the Berzotto family.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I loved like Richie's kind of side plot of trying to figure out the best speech of like bringing everyone together
his
as a
pep talks
family.
every
Yeah. His daily pep talks, and he kind of lands on like everyone that comes in is part of our family or something like that. I feel like as a viewer, they're bringing me in and I'm part of the family too, you know? But I did feel at times kind of what you said about how in prior seasons there was a lot of character growth, or like major plot lines were around the growth of a character.
Right.
I did kind of feel like this season there wasn't that much of that. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know that the plot really moved forward. I feel like most of the movement of the plot happened in episode 1, where they bring in the non-negotiables, the help from Ever, and episode 10, where Carmy decides to leave. And like in between, it was just kind of like slice of life of being in that restaurant.
Yeah, I could
It's
see
like
that.
not that much moving. I personally love being in that slice of life, and
Yeah.
so it was enjoyable to watch. I just don't know if it was as like plot driven as I wanted it to be.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, I think the overarching like restaurant is on a clock and everyone's just trying to like figure out ways to optimize and find opportunity like Ibrahim was doing.
Mhm.
But yeah, it wasn't like a major development point, like Marcus going to Copenhagen and like Richie
Sausage.
dodging in like front house question mark
Yeah.
terminology.
We do not come from the world of fine dining, if you could not tell.
We're just happy to be involved when fine dining happens.
What is the finest dining restaurant you have ever dined at?
Oh, one was a sushi place that you took me to in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
Which was at that time in my life by far the fanciest thing I'd ever experienced.
We were what, like 22?
22, like broke out of college, going to this restaurant where the sushi chef was like the understudy person to Jiro of
Mhm.
Jiro Dreams of Sushi fame.
Yeah, Sushi Kashiba.
Yeah. And then when I went back with my now fiance Michael, had to like transfer money from our savings to our checking account because we got the bill and we were like, ooh, oh no. Like,
Oh no.
it was like grad school, dire straits. I don't know why we went to this restaurant, but I was like, it was amazing. We have to go. Yeah. So maybe that. And maybe another one I went to in Chicago recently with some coworkers. It was like, I think like 8 courses called
Oh,
Boca.
wow.
And it was
Oh,
really good. Everything was amazing.
nice.
I saved the menu because I was like, I want to remember this forever. That was the night that I ate so much that in my hotel room I had to do like walking lunges because I was so
Around your
full
bed.
before going to bed.
Nice.
10 out of 10 experience. What about you?
I was actually gonna say Puyol and Quintonil, which were 2 restaurants we went to in Mexico City.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And yeah, I feel like actually, even though Quintonil was more expensive, Puyol felt like more of an elevated fine dining experience to me.
Puyol was the one we did first.
Yes.
Yes.
With
I
the,
think I
the
liked-
mole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked Puyol. And the company was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was super, super good.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely go back.
And like the service was excellent. I remember we felt our table and we were like, this is the softest stone I've ever felt.
It just like all the detail.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So back to the bear. Since you brought up Ibra and his kind of side plot with the beef window, what were your thoughts on that kind of plot development of like him going out and finding opportunity and bringing in this like outsider to the business?
I was kind of mixed on it because one, I respect the hell out of him for, I want to contribute to the success of just the overall like bear and beef combined sort of business situation. And he's such like a driven character, so wholesome and genuine in like his intentions and everything he does. But like this outside guy, I don't know. I got a little bit of like car salesman vibes from him. I mean, obviously, the window is doing really well and there's opportunity to expand without changing like day-to-day setup.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes to the idea of like a mini franchise thing. And I don't know. I feel like when you have something as special as that, like maybe you could like dilute it a little bit. Or like, what if Carmy's not on board? Does he have like the authority to make these decisions independent of the bear? So that's why I was a little like, I don't know about this guy. I'm a little sus. I'm a little bit sus.
Yeah, I felt similarly. I was a little confused why Ibra thought to bring him in, or like, yeah, just why. Okay, well, first of all, when they showed like the P&L statement of like, okay, combined, the bear is not doing well, but if you break out the bear restaurant from the beef window, obviously the beef window is doing great. I was like, well, then there's your answer. Do more beef.
Yeah.
And then they took all season to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't computer come up with that? Why didn't Jimmy come up with that?
Yeah.
So I thought the solution was a bit obvious, but then also, yeah, I was confused about like, what's Ibra's motive here? Is he trying to take the beef away from the bear? Like, is he? Yeah, I think it turned out like he was staying pretty loyal to Carmy, but like in the middle, before he showed how he felt about Carmy, I was like, what's he trying to do here? Is he trying to like steal the beef or like replicate the beef somewhere else? So I was a little confused about that, but yeah, so it was nice to see Ibra's shift in mentality from prior seasons to this one. Because I think what they showed was that in season 2, when they're training the rest of the beef staff to be like fine dining chefs,
the bear.
Well, the former beef staff to be the bear staff.
Yeah.
Like everyone was pretty much on board with upskilling, but Ibra was so adamant about like staying
as is.
Yeah, staying as is, like staying simple. So I liked that they showed that shift of
I think he's really stepping into the like leadership of the beef, and this is something that he like was a part of in the prior life and is now like kind of running operationally currently. So I feel like it's near and dear to his heart. But yeah, to your point, like I don't know what the like end game was.
I know it kind of seems like they're gonna franchise the beef, and then that will kind of fund the bear, even if the bear is constantly non-profitable. Which is kind of funny.
That line flattened out, so maybe there's hope.
Maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope. Maybe not having Carmy there will actually help it be profitable.
Yeah.
I do think that is true.
Yeah. Mans likes to overcomplicate literally everything.
Yes.
But maybe that's why he's at where he's at. He's at the top of his game, you know?
True. Very true. It wouldn't be the bear without Carmy.
Exactly.
That is true. Well,
I guess we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Is it?
I guess going to Carmy's decision to step away from the bear, how do you interpret his choice to retire from the restaurant? Is it self-preservation, personal growth, or is this another symptom of like his PTSD running away from his problems?
I think it might be a combination. Like he still very clearly carries this guilt about Mikey with him, and obviously complicated relationships with like his mother and Claire Bear, who's back in the picture. And so I think at the very beginning of the season, Natalie or Sugar kind of sets it up where she's like, you used to love it. Like, opening the question of, do you still love it? So I think personal growth for sure, where he's like, there is shit that I need to deal with. And what I don't understand is why he thinks he could only do that outside of the restaurant. 'Cause like, this is his baby. This is him and his brother's dream, right? It would take a lot to step away from that. I went back and forth on it a little bit because, to your point, in my opinion, like the bear is not the bear without Carmy as like a nexus. That's what the plan is for the next season. Like, does he find some resolution in his personal life and processing his many demons.
Yeah.
Does he make a return? I don't know. I guess we have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was kind of thinking to myself, like, is this a decision of strength or is this a decision of weakness? His decision to step away. I I definitely think he tends to like martyrize himself a lot. He's like, "Oh, like I'm the worst, so like I need to step away or like I need
Yeah.
to stop doing everything." And it's like, "Well, no, what would be helpful is if you just like did things and did them in a way that was helpful."
Yes.
It's like maybe not new dishes every day, maybe new dishes every month, every week. Like I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that would
Yeah.
there's something in between creating new dishes every day and fucking up operations and quitting. And Carmy has not
Very
found that.
extreme. Yeah. And they, I think Richie was just like, oh yeah, you run away. Like you're good at that. So
Yeah.
it's like, is this just him stuck in this pattern of like build up to this thing is achieved, have a crisis, leave,
Right. Totally.
So yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to see, yeah, how he is involved next season. Hopefully there is a next season. As of right now, The Bear has not been renewed for a fifth season.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I guess we don't know if there will be a season 5. Whoop, 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 whoop. Just a small oopsie doopsie yappers. As of yesterday, July 1st, FX has confirmed that there will be a season 5 of The Bear. So as of recording the episode with Poonim, there was no confirmation, but as of July 1st, we have confirmation. There will be a season 5. So enjoy, and with that, back to the show. If there is a season 5, I'm curious to see how Carmy will be involved. Random question for you. Why does everyone treat Neil Fack like a baby boy? I never understood that.
I feel like because like his attitudes and the way he talks and the way he interacts with like the world around him is very like childlike, but I also think that maybe that's something that just carried from their childhood, that he is this like sweet baby angel little boy, but he's also
Like 40 years old?
yeah, always walking like this because he doesn't know what to do with his hands.
He's like, this is a nice place. This is nice.
This is nice. Like, this is a fancy place. It's like, stop doing shit with your hands. Also tasting the wine and it's like, Skittles? It's not Skittles.
No, not Skittles. It's not Skittles.
Easily one of my favorite characters,
Yes.
because of just like the comic relief the facts provide.
Oh my God, all of the facts are so hilarious. I loved when Brie Larson came. Well,
Yeah.
I loved when Natalie Sugar was talking about Francie Fack. Every time she was like, "Oh, Francie fucking Fack, Natalie." And then when Brie Larson does come in, she's like, "Francie fucking Fack."
that was on site for Natalie. Like, and I don't think we don't ever find out what happened. She just says that her best friend betrayed her, right?
Yeah. And both of them feel like
both of them feel that way, which I thought was so funny at a wedding. Just like Natalie just on site, just getting into it, wasting no time.
and we find out they did hook up.
Question mark? Yeah. That seemed to be like randomly thrown in the middle of their like epic beef at a wedding.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
And then Pete was like, "Are you in love with her?" And Sugar's like, "No, babe." So cute. But yeah, I love Brie Larson. I thought
yes.
she played Francie
Funny.
Fack so well.
I love how she's giving her brothers a pep talk about their girls. She's like, she's so mean to our girlfriends. She's like, Kelly could be the real thing.
And
She's like,
"No."
you boys, I love you boys so much. You've got to get your head in the game. I was like, oh, damn.
Okay, one thing I wanted to get your thoughts on. So maybe this is a hot take. I kind of felt like a lot of the things that happened this season were kind of fan service. Like, for example, I think bringing in the people from Ever, We had Sarah Ramos, who's like Richie's kind of love interest, and then like the two guys that Richie staged with.
Hmm.
And then we have Luca, a dessert chef. I don't know if I found that super realistic because like the bear obviously can't afford them.
Yeah.
They're staging, so they don't have to be paid, but like in what world would they agree to that? Why are they doing charity for this restaurant?
I don't know. I feel like the vibe that I got, and I don't know how realistic it is, obviously. But I feel like it's about the relationships, and it's like once you're in with like the community, then it's this, you came in stage and learned a lot, and we developed this relationship, professional or, even personal to a certain extent of like friendships. And like, I am willing to come do this to come like help you out,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's temporary. Because we know that the like gang that Richie hung out with, that restaurant closed. It was Olivia Colman's restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Ever.
Yeah, whatever her character's name was.
I don't
remember. And like Luca, I mean, I don't mind seeing Luca on the screen. Hot chef,
Agreed.
baking.
Agreed. But this is why I was like,
But
is this
yeah,
fan service?
yeah, I could see that. But it sounds like, like Luca and Carmy worked together, or he worked under Carmy. So there's like a relationship there, and he's already back in Chicago. So maybe this is something he does to fill the time.
Is he making money? What's going on in his life?
I have
How is he paying the bill?
no idea, because as far as I am aware, rent in Chicago is also not cheap.
Yeah.
Based on my friend having recently moved apartments. So yeah, I don't know how realistic that is.
Like
but
the ever superstar team, if
Yeah.
they hadn't come in, oh my God, Sarah Ramos is such a wizard. I actually forgot her character's name.
Jess.
Jess. Yeah.
Definitely a wizard. Also kind of psychologist, therapist for
Yeah.
Richie. Like really able to like cut through what he's trying to say or ask for. Love that.
And then the last fan service moment, but it actually mimicked a scene from season 2 that was my favorite like scene from this entire show, was when they did the VIP treatment for the family whose daughter just recovered from cancer.
Yeah.
And they like did the whole beef window or beef sandwich special and like gave her snow and stuff. It really mimicked that scene from season 2 where they like bring, was it Lou Malnati's pizza or something, some sort of famous deep dish pizza in Chicago to the people dining at Ever, and then they were like, "You did not hear me say that," and they're like so happy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of Richie's first time where he feels like so much pride over what he does. So
Oh yeah.
as a fan, I loved seeing the snow scene,
Mhm.
but then as a critic, I was like, are they just like recreating scenes that we loved from other seasons?
I could see that. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe it's just kind of doubling down or emphasizing just like how much Richie has grown in the role. And it's like, well, now I know to do this, and he gets to be creative about what he thinks would be the most meaningful. And I kind of got a suspicion from that scene that like that guy dining alone who saw it was like gonna be a critic.
Yeah, me too.
But I was like, I don't think that was the guy that called Nat at the end of the season. So maybe it was just like, somebody who happened to be at the restaurant saw this and was like, wow, that was really freaking nice. So yeah, I don't know. But it warms the heart when you see, well, Richie gets so much out of doing this for people and just the thought that goes into it.
Yeah, I did love that scene. Actually, I totally forgot about that guy who they spent so much time on at the end, because they like set it up in the prior episode that the Michelin critics usually change their name every time they go to a restaurant. It sometimes happens to be a street of the city they are in at the time, and then the Uber driver comes and says Mr. Clark. So then I looked up if Clark is a street in Chicago, and it is a very long street in Chicago that like runs basically down the entire downtown. So then I was like, oh, that's what they're trying to do. But then it never came back to him. So I don't know, maybe that'll happen in season 5 if we get a season.
Yeah, because I feel like it was after that episode where Neil Fax saw that it was like, oh, this is the food and wine guy. that's like on the reservation list who's coming.
Yeah.
And so like that's how Marcus gets the like Rising Stars
Right.
award or something of that sort.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good
I
point.
don't know like why it was such a weird detail that I thought would come back, but then it ended up being kind of erroneous.
I mean, maybe it's laying some groundwork for the future. I don't know. Again, if there is even a season 5. So I hope so.
Let's talk about Sydney a little bit. So her storyline this season was dealing with her decision of whether to stay at the Bear or leave and join Shapiro at his new restaurant.
Mhm.
B, her dad gets sick in the middle. C, I guess like I don't even know if we can call this C. Maybe like X is that I feel like they were kind of setting both Marcus and Luca up to be love interests for her and like various. Maybe not this season. Marcus from season 1,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Then at the end of last season, she and Luca are like talking a lot at the final ever dinner. And they like have a really long one-on-one discussion, and then he comes to her place after with like the big party where everyone's like making frozen pizza and stuff.
Yeah.
And they show them talking, and then this season, the one conversation they had, I thought was pretty flirtatious. She's like, "Oh, we cannot afford you," and then he's like,
He says chives funny.
Oh,
And she's
yeah,
like, how did you make that word into 2 syllables?
That's right. Yes, the chives conversation. Yeah.
chives.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I thought that was pretty flirtatious. So I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna get like some interesting love triangle shit because obviously Marcus is maybe holding a torch for her a little bit, but then nothing came of it.
I guess they never came back to. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I guess I can never really tell because Edibiri, is that how you say it?
I think so.
Is so good at playing like just an awkward person, you know? So sometimes I never get like, does she harbor feelings like that for anyone? Because I remember reading, maybe it was after season 2 or season 3, like, is there going to be something between Sid and Carmy?
Oh.
And then like Claire came into the picture and we're like, guess not. So yeah, I don't know. That is interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that'll be another season 5 plotline. Who knows?
I mean, at this point, we could basically write it ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one Sydney plotline. The other one is her decision to stay at the Bear.
Yeah.
What did you think of that whole conundrum?
I feel like she was leaning towards taking it for most of the season, and then the wedding episode happens. And I think for her, that was almost a reminder of like, they are this absolutely batshit crazy, chaotic family, but it's her family now. Like, she's part of it. She was under the table with the rest of the aunties and uncles hanging out with the little girl who didn't want to dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, it makes sense that that is something that's so important to her that she would want to stay, even though, you know, it is a little bit of a sinking ship. I did think it was really, really funny in the episode where she's hanging out with her cousin getting her hair done and the calls from Shapiro and just, I don't know if you could call them microaggressions, but just comments like, oh, have you seen good hair? And he like doesn't know that, you know, her hair appointment's not going to be just an hour and stuff like that. And she's like,
thank you. But yeah, you didn't have to. Okay.
It's like, and he like, when he's talking about the vision for the kitchen and he's walking her through, he's like, bring all these like Afro-Caribbean flavors, and he like points at her and her face is like, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if maybe that was something that they didn't want to make too obvious, but it's something that maybe she would think about. Like, this guy sometimes says stuff that, you know, well-meaning, but like maybe like not the most appropriate, you know, discussion to have.
That's a really good point. I do think that was very intentional of the writers to put in there, and I think from her perspective, I could totally see her being like, well, at the Bear, I am another I'm a family member. I don't feel like they see me any different than they see anyone else in this family. Versus with Shapiro, it's like, oh, I am the Afro-Caribbean like token.
representative.
Yes. And he is using me to execute on this vision he has for a very diverse kind of performative thing.
Yeah.
And even if it's well intentioned, it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she just feels like more a part of the family with the bear.
Yeah. And she brings that up when she's having her rant, her metaphor rant to her niece about the sleepovers.
Yeah.
Where she's like, what is like this chaotic family, but you know, when it's good, it's really, really good. And, you know, do I want to like start over somewhere else? And that's probably another decision. And,
Yeah.
you know, the niece was just like, sounds like you should go to the sleepover that has pizza.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about the pizza.
She's like, pizza sounds pretty good to me.
Like, just the fact that she was pushing back on like what the niece was saying was like, maybe deep down she already kind of knew.
Yeah. I feel like that too. It's like her heart was telling her to stay, but her head was like, that's a stupid decision.
Yeah.
Consider other options. And then
Yeah.
I agree that the wedding like really solidified it.
Yeah. And then at the end, when, you know, Carmy was just like, oh, yeah, you were just like waiting to get out of here. Like, I don't know what exactly pegged her as a flight risk. Because I don't think that she, you know, she invested a lot of time in the development of the bear and everything. And like, obviously, she's very stressed, but she came to work with Carmy.
Yes.
Like, that was the whole intention of like how she got, you know,
yeah, she joined the
the
beef.
beef in the first place.
Yeah.
So I was a little confused about that, and maybe Carmy was just bringing that up because Shapiro had called him, which I thought was a little shady.
Yeah,
Like,
super shady.
I guess if they're friends or whatever, but like
super shady.
Yeah,
So like that was clearly an emotional move of Shapiro.
Yeah, but I guess he called Carmy before she had told him her decision.
That's just stupid of Shapiro to do. It's like you're kind of sabotaging yourself.
Or just like, you know, it's manipulative. Like, I'm going to plant this seed in Carmy's mind that Sydney's not all the way in the bear. And that could fracture that relationship and, you know, get her to my side. And Carmen's reaction to that is just like, put her into the contract, take himself out.
Oh, Carmy. Like, I just think if for Shapiro to have done that, that was a huge risk of Carmy telling Sydney that he knows that she's talking to Shapiro, and then Sydney would be like, so I can't trust Shapiro. I'm never going to go work for him.
Exactly.
That would be my reaction.
Yeah. And then they mentioned in like the last of like, oh, we never got to talk about this. But I'm like, how much time has passed that they didn't have the opportunity to just have a quick one-on-one somewhere in the kitchen or outside the restaurant or, you know,
during the wedding.
Like, I have to imagine, and the clock had, you know, the hours on it. If I just took the time to divide by 24 and give me the days, that's
2 months
span. Okay, 2 months. So they didn't have a chance to talk about this for 2 months?
I know.
Or even 1 month?
Like
after she gets back, after her dad has his heart attack? Like, communication.
Not Carmy's strong suit.
No.
Also not Sydney's strong
suit. Her in the empty basketball court. Like, if you miss this, then you are a failure. Blah, blah, blah. Sydney, the overthinker.
Yeah, Sydney. Oh my God. And then her calling Shapiro, I was cringing so hard.
She had like her professional voice on, and I was like, oh God.
So that's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
Think you're good.
So in the episode where Sydney's getting her hair done, and she and her niece go to the store, and then they talk about gummy worms, and Sydney's like, I ate so many that my teeth hurt, and then at the end, you see her eating it.
Holding her jaw.
Yeah, and she's like, oh. I thought maybe that was a symbol for her experience at the bear, where like she's so in on it, but too much of it actually comes back and hurts her. Or the thing that she loves the most is also the thing that hurts her.
Yeah. Which I feel like is also applicable to Carmen.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So maybe it's just like the bear as this toxic passion.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. I have to say, I love that episode. I thought it was so funny when her cousin was just like, "Oh yeah, there's no more hair. I need to run out and get some." She's just the slow turn in horror with like only 3/4 of her hair done, and then goes to talk to this 11-year-old. I felt so seen because I don't know how to talk to children. She's just hanging by the doorway, like, "Hey."
With her like fuck ass half done hair.
So good. I burst out laughing.
She has to put on a beanie to go out in public. Poor girl going out in public in the middle of a hair appointment.
Oh my gosh. But in a way, that episode to me was Sydney reconnecting with her family.
Yeah.
And just like how nice it is to be surrounded by like your people, you know? And even if it took a little bit to break the ice with her niece, it took a little bit of convincing of her cousin that, 3 Fridays from now, we're going to go out, we're going to call the other cousin, and it's going to be a rager of a night. Like, stuff like that. Like, I think it was also a good reminder for her of like, family is important. And so maybe that also like factored into her decision.
Yeah, totally. Importance of family at work and in life.
Yeah, like people who see you for who you are, not what you do.
Oh, one line that I really loved was between Luca and Marcus. They're having a conversation, and Marcus is like, I feel like, what did he say? It was something like, if you don't have your life together, you can't make good food or something. But then Luca was like, another way to look at it is that our work tastes the way it does because of what happened in our life to get here.
Oh yeah,
And I love
the
that.
mess. It's like if there's mess in your life, there's mess in the work that you do or something.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah, that's what Marcus says. Yes. I loved that line from Luca.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, you are a product of your experiences, both good and bad. Getting through whatever trials and tribulations gets you to the point where you can create these beautiful things.
Absolutely. And also, like, Carmy wouldn't be the artist that he is without all of the issues that he has. Yeah.
Yeah. And his upbringing and, his drive to get out and spend some time in French Laundry with the other guy from Community who yelled at him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So many actors from Community in the show.
I'm waiting for Danny Pudi.
Oh,
Danny Pudi season 5.
Our boy. Oh my God. Yeah, first Danny Pudi lived in Pasadena. That was also the college town where Poonim and I went to college, and we saw him everywhere.
The Trader Joe's parking lot, running next to campus. Yeah. A true local.
Yeah. What's that? There's an episode of How I Met Your Mother where, is it Maury Povich or something? Where it's like you're not a real New Yorker until you see Maury Povich. And I feel like you're not a true Pasadena-ite until you see Danny Pudi.
Danny Pudi and the Dirty Dina. Let's go. Get that man to Chicago.
Oh, did you notice that the computer was like in head-to-toe Raiders gear? I was like, where did this come from?
So random.
Is this man from Oakland, California?
Maybe. I don't know. He was fully dripped out in Raiders fan gear.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they ever explained that. Did he get this much screen time in prior seasons? Because I feel like I don't remember seeing computer this much.
Definitely not this much.
Like,
But
I feel like we saw him every now and then, and I wasn't totally clear on his role, relationship. I just knew he was like money guy.
Yeah, like finance numbers guy.
Yeah, but I don't know. When Ibra was talking to that guy about the beef, he was just like, I just gave him like, tables with numbers and colored charts and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. Either way, computer, kind of hilarious side character. Just like, shows up, installs a clock, decked out in Raiders gear.
Where did he come from? Where did he go?
No one knows.
Cotton Eye Joe.
Cotton Eye Joe.
In the very first episode, just a funny line, when they're talking about the issues they have, and someone's like, oh, well, 3 people quit. And they're like, who quit? And someone's like, Eric, Debbie, and David. And Carmy and Sydney are both like, who the fuck are Eric, Debbie, and David?
They're like, David was chill. Eric was okay. I was like,
One thing that really frustrated me was that after Carmy has this big moment, he's about to take the train home, and then he's like, wait, this isn't what I want to do. And you see him running, running, running. And that was the same episode where someone points out to him that he hasn't seen his fucking niece yet.
yeah.
And so I was like, he better be going to his niece right now. But no,
No.
of course, he goes to Claire Bear.
Claire Bear. I'm not a huge fan of Claire Bear's character.
Really?
I don't know if this is a hot take. She feels like such a one-dimensional character whose only purpose is to show Carmy like there is this other world outside of the restaurant where it's like, you know, you can absolutely connect with another human being outside of a kitchen. But outside of that, her character makes no sense to me. Like, I get that she's a doctor. Love that for her. We stand a qualified queen. Why is she picking up the phone like randomly throughout the day? Like, I don't think that that's how doctors' shifts work.
Busy?
Yeah. I thought that, you know, you can only really chat on your break, and I can't imagine it's that long. But for a busy doctor and a busy chef to just be calling each other, having these deep conversations, and then being like, haha, insert like kind of flat joke, and just disappear again until
I know.
she shows up and he's like, oh my god, it's Sophie. I'm not Sophie. Claire Bear's at this wedding.
I know. Yeah. I know our friend Emily also does not like her. But it's because Emily said that she thinks Claire thinks she's prettier than she is.
Which you know, like the facts said it. I think Jimmy said it. And then maybe even Richie said it, but it's just like, oh my God, Claire is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's so pretty. And I'm just like, it's not that she's
ugly. Yeah.
She is a very attractive woman. I just feel like there's so much hype around her, and I don't get to see why. She seems like such a flat character that's just like a foil to Carmen.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because everyone else in all of those people's lives are hot messes, and she's clearly got her shit together and is conventionally attractive.
She just isn't, you know, everyone else in the show is a character. They
Yeah.
have their personality, they have their quirks, they have their fears,
Yep.
they have their journeys. And she's just kind of there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think her character has very much depth.
I liked how they showed Donna, so Carmy's mom, trying harder, right? Like, so she's sober for a year. She's trying to reconnect with Carmen. She acknowledges just, you know, how mean and fucked up of a childhood she gave those three. Oh, hello. What did you think about that?
Yappers, we have a friend joining. Hello, Melly.
Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, I mean, I thought that was really nice because I think that so many people in the show carry guilt for Mikey. The mom, Richie, Carmy, you know, like maybe even Nat to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like they all carry that. And so I feel like it was nice to see some sort of healing resolution. And obviously, you know, they're not going to be best friends after one conversation and one very fancy chicken meal he makes for his mother. But, you know, it lays the groundwork. And maybe that's why Carmen's just like, maybe I should take a step back and like my mom of all people is working on herself. So maybe that's something I should too. But even just, you know, coming back to the central theme of like family, the interpersonal dynamics of the wedding episode. Like this episode was twice as long as the other episodes in the season. This was this season's 7 Fishes.
Yes.
Yes. And it was just as chaotic in a way, especially with Nat and Prince.
Oh my God, yes.
But it felt like, you know, more positive, more wholesome.
Yeah.
No one drove a car through the wall.
Correct.
So I feel like, in a way, it's like there's some growth that is happening in the background that I think is maybe inspiring the characters in the show.
Yeah.
Take a step back and think about where they are in their lives and their identities. So.
Yeah, I do think it's like it's a sign of growth for all the characters that we've moved from Seven Fishes in season 2 to the wedding. What was that episode called? Bears.
Yeah.
That is a show of the growth that all of the characters have gone through.
Yeah. There was one line from Donna where she's talking to Carmen and she's like, I don't know you and you don't know me and I did that. And, she wants to be in his life. And I thought that was a huge thing for Carmen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only other thing that I had on my notes was our girl Tina, when the pressure is off, can make a sub 3-minute pasta. That's our girl.
Okay, I was going to ask about that. So, yeah, I was wondering what they were trying to show with that. So, was it that when she doesn't know she's being timed, she can perform in under 3 minutes?
Yeah.
But when she's stressed out, it takes longer.
Yeah. Because I think that was the conversation she had with Luca where he was like, when I worked for Carmy, he had me searing Wagyu steaks.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, when I would practice at home with literally anything, like, I would nail it. But as soon as it was Wagyu and as soon as it was here in the kitchen, like, it was just such a mess. And so I feel like he was trying to say, like, it's the pressure sucks, but at a certain point, you kind of like push beyond it. And if you can use it to help you versus using it as like a block, then you're capable of so much. So I think that the thing that him and Jess did with the secret timer and stuff like that was, to show her that you are absolutely capable of this thing. The thing being, sub 3-minute pasta. But for a character that we love so much, the only one who's willing to tell Carmy shit straight, like for her to achieve this, and you can just see the pride in her eyes and the confidence it gives her. So
does she even know that she did it in under 3 minutes?
So at the end, they're like, oh, like, can you put the plate over there? And then I think somebody leaves the timer next to the stove that she was cooking at. So she sees 2:59 and she just like starts to like smile and and no one even acknowledges, no one says a single thing, but it's like they have each other's backs. They scream at each other so much, but without a doubt that they are there for each other, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Which I love.
So sweet. I love Tina.
I love Tina.
I'm so happy she got her 3-minute pasta.
Me too.
Who is your favorite character on the show?
I was thinking about this a lot. It's so hard just to have one. I feel like there's tiers of characters. Like Sydney, I will always have an extremely soft spot for. I think the facts are just so funny. I think they are just so out of pocket, outrageous. There's nothing to do with the rest of the show, but at one point it just cuts to them in the parking lot, like, work quietly! But they're just like screaming at each other. Yeah, I feel like Sid and then maybe Tina. Marcus, definitely Marcus is up there. Yeah, maybe those three. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are great. I think Richie will forever be my favorite character. He has been my favorite character since his stage episode in season 2. And I love him so much.
What he's had as a character and as a person, as a father.
Yeah.
As like head of front house and everything. Like incredible. Chef's kiss. No notes. Love Richie.
Chef's kiss. No pun intended.
We're killing it this episode.
Yeah, I'll never forget in that episode where he stages at Ever, when he like hears the people talking about how they want deep dish pizza, and then he like goes running into the kitchen and he's like, "Chef!" And she's like, "Quiet, please, quiet." And then he announces what he wants, and then he's like, "Can I go serve it to them? Can I go serve it to them?" And then she's like, "Go get him, Richie." And I was like, that's like one of the best episodes of television for me ever.
Oh yeah. I think that one was
ever. Oh, no pun intended.
Jesus. Yeah, no, it was, I hard agree. So good. And as a character, like, you can really see him take on responsibility after the review. Where it's
Yeah.
just like they said it was like chaos, and it's like I really dropped the ball. And working so hard on his pep talks and stuff like that. Like, just, doing everything in his power to, be the best he can be because he's found his place.
Yeah.
And I think that for him, he, as a character, might have been a little bit aimless, especially after like Mikey passed. I think it was good that, they showed his growth over the course of the whole show.
Yeah.
Love him. Love Richie.
Cool. Well, what would you rate this season? Actually, I'm curious what you would rate each season, if you remember.
Ooh. Season 1, I remember really liking, but it being like Uncut Gems level of chaos. So maybe like a 7 or an 8. 2, I thought was maybe somewhere around there. I feel like I don't remember it as clearly, but for those like standout episodes. 3, I thought was a little bit more serious in nature, but you still got to see like significant growth in some of the characters. So I would put it at maybe like 7 and 8. This season, I'm gonna say maybe 7. So like still a really stellar season, not the best. Maybe like seasons 1 and 2 were closer to an 8.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm with you directionally. I think seasons 1 and 2 were definitely my favorite. Season 2 was for sure my favorite. I would have probably put that at like a 9 or so. Season 3, I think, like dropped off a little bit. Granted, I did binge seasons 1 through 3 all at once because I
so
was
you could have a
catching
more
up.
direct comparison.
Yeah, so I think like once season 3 started, I was like, okay, I can tell like there were a few years between season 2 and season 3. It feels a little different. So I think I would have given that one like a 7 as well, probably. I would give this season an 8. I think it was so great being back in the world. I thought the acting was so amazing across the
They
board.
say so much with just their facial expression.
Yes, the face acting is so good. And
Whoever does the lighting for the show, I feel like at this point they know the angles to shine a light on Jeremy Allen White's eyes.
Oh my
like
God.
those blue
They
eyes.
were like White
And they're
Walker
just like
eyes.
glowing in half of his scene.
Especially when he was under the table looking at Claire, I was like, the blue is bluing.
I was gonna say in the very first episode where he's talking to Mikey in the flashback, and it's like the sun from the window over the sink is just like hitting his eyes, not the sink, the stove, and it's just like hitting his eyes at that angle, and I was like, people with blue eyes, sometimes so intense, so intense.
Like that blue eye filter. Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah. Binge in progress. This is our segment where we talk about what else we're watching outside of the show that we just covered. So, Poonim, what are you binging right now?
Well, Mike and I just finished Andor, which for any Star Wars fans is basically the lead up to the events of Rogue One. Phenomenal. Shattered me emotionally, and I will be thinking about that show for a very long time. On the completely opposite end of the spectrum, Love Island, baby. Let's go.
Love Island USA season 7.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I am not caught up. I think I watched maybe the first week of episodes. Like I made it past the first After Sun. So I have quite a bit of catching up to do, but I have so much FOMO for all like the TikToks and the Instagram and the memes.
Same. I am watching Survivor 47 with my sister. This is like Survivor season of my life right now. I've been watching Survivor with my sister for a few months now. But we've now moved on to season 47. And I'm also rewatching How I Met Your Mother just because I was due for another rewatch. I feel like I kept hearing references and I was like, man, it's been like over a year, I think, since I rewatched it, so it's time.
Is that your annual rewatch show?
I guess so. Probably, yeah, because I guess Gilmore Girls is like my perpetual rewatch show.
We know.
And then How I Met Your Mother is like, yeah, about once a year I'll go through. It's just so much faster to get through.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right. Well, Thanks for joining us, Poonim.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on the podcast and then listen to us talk to each other again on my commute.
Yay! Thanks for yapping with us. If you loved this episode, have some hot takes we missed, or if you've got a show you're dying for us to binge next, follow us on socials. We're at Binge Yap Repeat.
Until next time, happy binging!